Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
I'm Detective Jamie Nolen.
And how do you spell your last name for the record, sir?
Nolen.
Detective Nolen, where are you currently employed, sir?
With the Lee County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been employed in that capacity?
Almost 17 years.
And during your employment with the Lee County Sheriff's Office, did you become involved in the homicide investigation regarding Dr. Teresa Sievers?
Yes, I did.
What was your initial role in that investigation?
At the time, I was the lead investigator.
And what was the time span of your role as lead investigator?
Probably around 3 months.
And when did that role start?
The day of the incident, which was June 29th, I believe we took over.
And then at some point, was another detective assigned as? Were you reassigned, and another detective was assigned as lead investigator?
Yes, Detective Downs.
So, let me turn your attention then to June 29th, 2015. Did you have an opportunity to respond to the scene involving the death of Dr. Sievers?
Yes, I did. I arrived around 10:45 a.m. in the morning.
And when you arrived there, was the scene contained?
Yes, it was.
There was a person who had called 911. Was that person still present?
Yes, Dr. Petrides, he was still on the scene.
And did you have an opportunity to at least conduct a cursory investigation into Dr. Petrides?
Yes, I did.
And what were the details of that?
I met with him, spoke with him briefly, then I obtained a sworn statement from him. He sat in my patrol car, and I obtained a statement from him for why we were there that day and what he had found.
Was he cooperative?
Yes, he was.
Did he answer all of your questions?
Yes, he did.
And did you have an opportunity to collect any biological samples from Dr. Petrides?
Yes, I did. Due to him being on the scene and finding the victim, I obtained a buccal swab from him and submitted that into evidence. And I also did a search of his vehicle, looked for any trace evidence in the vehicle, which showed up negative.
All right, and I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit. State's Exhibit number 22. I'm showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit number 22. Do you recognize it?
That's the package I made, which contains the buccal swabs that I took from Mark Petrides at the scene.
Is the packaging in substantially the same condition as it was when you packaged it?
Yes, it does. It has the Lee County evidence tape on there, which has my signature, and at all areas it's unbroken.
And what was the purpose of recovering Dr. Petrides' buccal swab?
Because I knew the crime scene was, of course, going to be at the scene, and they were going to look for any trace evidence, and we didn't have Dr. Petrides' DNA, so this was our way of collecting that.
Well, did you ask for his DNA because he was a suspect in the crime?
No, not at all. He was on the scene, so we need, and he admitted making entrance into the house, so we wanted it to be able to basically put him aside as a suspect.
So if his DNA was found in the home, you want to be able to exclude or include his DNA from the home?
Absolutely.
Is that something that's typically done if you have a person who's not even a suspect in a crime? You still might collect their biological samples?
Yes, it is. We even took samples from the victim's family.
And at some point, did you have an opportunity, speaking of family, did you have an opportunity to meet with Dr. Sievers' husband, Mark Sievers?
Yes, I did on 2 occasions.
Now, certainly, were you able to establish whether or not Mark Sievers had ever lived in the home at 27034 Jarvis Road?
Yes, I did.
So, his DNA might be something you might expect to find in the home
Yes, sir.
since he lived there.
Yes, sir.
But did you also request a biological sample from Mr. Sievers?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what was the purpose of requesting that biological sample?
Just in case later on in the investigation that we find other evidence that we can either link him or eliminate him as a suspect.
So even though his DNA, even though his duplicate evidence label, so even though you were requesting his DNA, you still expected to find his DNA somewhere in the home?
Yes, we did.
I'm going to show you what's been previously marked twice as State's Exhibit number 23. And ask if you recognize number 23.
Yes, I do. This is the packaging that I made and placed the buccal swabs inside. With the Lee County evidence tape, all the tape is complete and unbroken, apart from the top where it was taken out by probably FDLE.
So the sample you obtained from Mr. Sievers, according to the tape at least, appears to have been submitted for some additional testing.
Yes, sir.
But with regards to Dr. Petritis, it wasn't.
Does not appear to be, no, sir.
Your Honor, this time I move to admit what's been previously marked as State's Exhibits number 22 and Exhibit number 23 in evidence as States 22 and 23.
Okay. We'll show them admitted.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to inspect the interior of the home?
Yes, I did.
Was Dr. Sievers still present in the home when you did the inspection of the interior of the home?
Yes, she was.
And we heard earlier that one of the crime scene technicians, Miss Van was involved in some kind of a briefing about the scene. Were you involved in that briefing as well?
Yes, I was.
When you inspected the interior of the home, did you note like an office in the home?
Yes, that was as you walk in through from the garage to the laundry room. The kitchen area is here. The office would be probably at about 11 o'clock.
And did anybody move anything around in the office at all?
Nobody touched anything in there.
After you conducted your inspection and briefing of the home, just a minute, please.
So,
during it's early. During your discussion, going back to Mr. Sievers, during your discussion with Mr. Sievers, did you have an opportunity to have his cell phone examined?
yes, I did. We asked him for if we could have consent to search his cell phone. He completed a Lee County Sheriff's Office consent form, and we took possession of his cell phone.
And when you took possession of the cell phone, what did you do with it?
Submitted to our evidence section, where they send it over to our digital forensics unit, where they examine it and extract any software, uploads, downloads off the phone.
And did you then return the phone to Mr. Sievers?
It was later returned to him, yes.
Now, at that point, when you did the download from Mr. Sievers' phone, did you know where he had been during the murder of Dr. Sievers?
Yes, we did.
Out of town somewhere?
Yes, he was up with the Sievers family. The victim's family.
But despite him not being present in Lee County when Dr. Sievers was murdered, you still requested his phone to do the download.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's been previously marked, and it's a composite exhibit, Your Honor. It contains a bunch of other items. What's been marked as State's Exhibit number 24. It's been marked twice. Show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit number 24, and ask if you recognize it.
This is a well, there's a property receipt in there stating a crime scene log, Sievers consent letter form. There's also.
Let me ask you specifically about the consent form.
So
The package contains the consent form that Mr. Sievers signed to turn over his cell phone to you.
that's correct.
So you didn't go to the court. You didn't have to go to the court and get a search warrant or court order. He voluntarily let you download his phone.
Yes, he did.
Okay, if you could go ahead, if we can borrow a pair of scissors from the clerk, you can go ahead and open up number 24 and pull out that consent form, please.
Absolutely.
And you can just move it to the top.
Yep.
And there's some gloves up there if you need gloves.
Wonderful. Thank you. Let me see. These ones are falling apart. I'll just get another pair. Okay.
Okay, so you located the consent form.
Yes, sir.
Did you provide the consent form to Mr. Sievers?
Yes, I did.
And did he have an opportunity to read it?
Yes, he did.
Did he appear to understand it?
Yes, he did.
And there's a signature on there. Whose signature is it?
Signature is Mark Sievers, as he printed his name underneath it also.
And is there also a second signature present on that form?
There's mine, which notarizes it as a witness.
And it was at that point that Mr. Sievers let you download his phone, or let you have his phone downloaded?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You can put the consent form back into the exhibit, please,
Okay, sir.
at the top, where it can be read. Also, within that exhibit, for the record, were some other documents that at some point you received when you were in charge of, when you were the lead investigator on the case.
Yes, sir.
There's a correspondence there from Mr. Sievers' attorney.
Yes, sir. From Honda and Hanukkah, we
And you
received
don't
that.
have to read it, but there's just a letter in there from them.
Yes, sir. We received it on July 8th of 2015.
And then you also mentioned that there was a receipt in there as well.
There's a property receipt here. This is another consent search, I'm sorry, from Robert de la Poor.
And what are the other documents in there?
There is a drawing. I don't know who made the drawing. So. There's a drawing that must have been inadvertently been put in there. And then there's the crime scene log.
Okay. And those are documents that were provided to you during the investigation?
Yes, they were.
And then you put it in the evidence bag and sealed it up?
Yes, sir.
This time, Your Honor, I move to admit, I'm going to keep all the documents together. Move to admit what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit Composite 24 and evidence as State's 24.
Okay, you guys can approach.